Welcome back to the channel. So a few weeks ago I made a video talking about my views on the ongoing debate within the community about Cenozoic period animals being added to any future Jurassic World Evolution 3. Well, having made that video and stated that I was all for the more diversity, but with some pretty big asterisks, I thought it would be a good idea to go over the animals that I would like to see come to the game. Oh, and just before we start, the animals that I think would always be there, the woolly mammoth, woolly rhino and saber-toothed cat, are a given. What I want to talk about are the animals beyond those. These odd animals are amongst my favourite Cenozoic animals and existed through the period in various places around the world, including China and Europe. Several key genus are known: the namesake Chalicotherium from Germany, the Moropus from North America, which was one of the largest types of Chalicothere, and the Anisodon, also from Europe. These huge animals have some very unique traits. Their teeth and jaws bear resemblance to giraffes and deers, being set up for browsing leaves, while they have a very large bulky body like a gorilla or ground sloth. They walked on their knuckles like a gorilla and had very large claws on their hands, similar to pangolins and sloths, which most paleontologists agree were used for defense, but also for grabbing branches. A rather unique trait for the animal is their relative rarity in the fossil record, indicating a solitary lifestyle unlike other mammal groups. I think these big bulky animals would make for some interesting creatures for the parks, and would probably have some unique animations with those huge frontal claws. A relative of elephants, this small animal comes from Egypt and is believed to be a possible relative to manatees. Its skeleton and head have a number of features indicative of a semi-aquatic lifestyle, and some believe it would have possessed a tapir-like proboscis instead of a trunk. With a size of around a meter, it would represent a small and probably rather cute animal for the parks. However, if placeable deep water is coming in Jurassic World Evolution 3, it would represent a semi-aquatic mammal to take advantage of that. The ankylosaurs of the Cenozoic, Glyptodonts, are believed to be related in some ways to current-day armadillos, only these guys were capable of growing to much larger sizes. With a number of genus known, two very famous examples come from South America, the Glyptodon and the Doedicurus. These animals were around all the way up to around 7,000 to 10,000 years ago, and their extinction is believed to have been caused by a combination of climate change during the Ice Age and human hunting. Both of these genus were of a similar size, being around 3 meters long and weighing over a ton, if not more. Both had short, stout bodies which were covered in thick, rigid armor similar to ankylosaurs. The main difference between the two species was that Doedicurus carried an extra defense from predators, a large heavily spiked club at the end of its tail, while Glyptodon did not. These animals would be great to have alongside their dinosaur versions. I can see these guys thumping about with ankylosaurs in our parks. Probably my favourite Cenozoic animal of all time, the Andrewsarchus is a mammal with a complicated history. It's known from only a skull found in China. Its family connections and relatives had changed throughout history, with early theories linking them to wolves, but more modern theories have linked them to Entelodonts, whales, and hippos, oddly enough. Andrewsarchus was originally believed to be a purely carnivorous animal and potentially the largest mammal carnivore on land, with an estimated size of around 3 meters long and nearly 2 meters tall. However, recent discoveries and changing in thinking have suggested the size and potentially its diet were wrong. That being said, this animal will always for me be that huge wolf-like animal as presented in Walking with Beasts, with this magnificent skin, and it was introduced with one of the best descriptions I've ever heard.
He is, in a sense, a sheep in wolf's clothing. He is also the largest mammal carnivore ever to walk the earth.
I think the way these were described in Walking with Beasts suits them. Demon pigs from hell. These animals possessed large tusk-like teeth, muscular bodies, and could be considered large boars or pigs, even though they were more related to hippos than pigs. Several genus exist, but the most famous include the Entelodon from Eurasia, a man-sized example, the Deodon, a larger, more muscular version from North America, and the largest of the animals, the Para-Entelodon. All these animals are believed to have been omnivorous, capable of crushing bones as well as plants, with their powerful jaws and variable dentistry. They would certainly represent an ugly but dangerous group of animals for our parks. Grumpy animals that would take no shit from anything. Probably be quite difficult to house and keep happy, I would suspect. An infamous group of animals from the Cenozoic, the so-called terror birds in some ways represented the dinosaurs trying again to create very large dangerous predators. There are many well-known terror birds, but all had a similar sort of form, being very upright flightless birds with powerful beaks. A number of genus are well known, such as the Gastornis, the Forusrhacus, and the Kelenken. All these animals were easily taller than a human and potentially very dangerous, although recent science has suggested that Gastornis might have had a more herbivorous diet than other later terror birds. Forusrhacus and Kelenken both come from South America, living alongside those huge armoured Glyptodonts, which might explain that armour plating. Dangerous and predatory, these fully feathered animals would work pretty well alongside our feathered dinosaurs, representing the next step of bird evolution. I could imagine them having some great skins too. So what about our lagoons? Well, obviously a range of prehistoric whales is probably a good bet. Basilosaurus is amongst the most famous of Cenozoic animals, as well as the Durodon and the very strange Odobenotops, a narwhal-like animal with a huge long tusk. You also have a relative of the sperm whale in the form of Leviathan. All these animals would represent great creatures for the lagoons. Our aviaries could be represented by the largest bird of all time, the Pelagornis, which had a simply huge 7.4 meter wingspan, making it dwarf some of even the larger pterosaurs. This huge seabird, a relative of ducks and geese, would have been similar to albatross, gliding along ocean currents hunting fish. Also a possible animal for our aviaries is the well-known Argentavis, a supersized condor or vulture relative from Argentina. These huge birds would rival our pterosaurs in size and present some great Cenozoic flyers for our parks. So that was some ideas for Cenozoic animals I think would be worth having, and a few that I hope would be a bit more interesting than a mammoth or a saber-tooth. Let me know down in the comments animals you think would be cool to see, and don't forget to like and subscribe. But until next time, stay safe and goodbye.